was changes that you've had to make to your position on the time trial bike. So can you take us through those a little bit, and how you feel that the changes that you've had to make, whether they affect you more or less than other people who've had to make similar changes?
Do you mean when the UCI made the rule about the bars?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 years now. I went back into wind tunnel 2 years ago with Steve Head and spent a couple days there. I really spent a lot of time, and came up with a position that Floyd had made famous the year before, and it worked for me. So I was riding that position up until last year's tour, and then the UCI, more and more riders started to do it because they saw that it worked, and I think they did that without going to the wind tunnel, so they didn't know for sure. But the UCI saw all these guys with their hands up, and for whatever reason, which they still have not given a very good reason, they decided that your forearm needs to be flat. So yeah, it was the day before the tour. I had to change my position, but it wasn't a big deal.
Well, you still won the final TT.
Right, I still won the final TT, and I still have, I think, an advantage that I can get very narrow, especially with my arms, which a lot of riders can't do, and they haven't ruled against that. So I still have a little bit of an advantage there.
So you think that rule about the flat forearms was just aesthetics?
I think it's aesthetics. Yeah, I really do, because they argue that it puts more contact. It makes more contact points on the aero bars, but I don't think they've ever ridden a bike. So
I guess one of the other questions that I've always been curious about relative to time trialing is, obviously you're a smaller guy. People think of time trial riders typically as bigger guys, longer legs. Why do you think you've had so much success in time trials despite not being 6'2"?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it comes down to a couple things. Most importantly is that I found a very aerodynamic position. Because I'm small, I can get very narrow. That's probably the most important part. Second part is just the physical capabilities. I don't have a lot of fast twitch fibers. I've got a lot of muscle, but it's all slow twitch. So I've always been able to push a big gear on the flats relative to my size. And I think just the fact that I'm kind of a diesel, steady state guy, I've got a lot of aerobic capacity.
So that actually brings up another question that somebody asked, which was about your ability to, as more of a steady state rider, your ability to follow sharp attacks on the climbs, and sort of how you deal with that.
I get that a lot. People ask, they kind of compare Cadell and me, the fact that we're not explosive riders like Contador, for example. But I think that there's maybe 3 or 4 parts to that question. Is the first one is, it's not really my DNA. I can't make those sharp attacks unless I feel really good and everybody else has spent their. We come down to that point.
Actually, can you hang on 1 sec? You might, unfortunately, the video just might stop at some point. It's just me and Levi here with a camera, and if we run out of batteries or we run out of time on the camera, that's it. So we'll just keep talking until that happens. So sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of times I choose not to follow the attacks because my tactic is to stay at a more steady rate, because in the end, if you do too many of those attacks, even if you're really good at them, it catches up with you. We've seen that with Vinokurov, even with Alberto. If he tries to do too many of the sharp attacks, one day he's got nothing left because it really takes a lot out of you. So I try to save it for an attack that I know will work.